Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, was thinking about something and I just popped on. Don't know who's gonna watch it, if anybody come and watch it. But this is something that was on my mind and it may help someone and it may not help no one, and may no one may be in this situation. I was thinking, and at my church we're having on Wednesday night we're having prayer instead of our regular scheduled programming. We're having prayer, and the prayer is centered around families, the dissolving of the family, the function of the family, how things are in families, how things are not like they used to be in families, how and the Bible speaks of it: mothers against daughters, sons against fathers, and this, that, and the other. And it's like you have to pick sides, and it seems like every time my pastor gets on a subject of such, um, something is going to happen. Something happens, and there's always a reason why he is he's talking about a subject, or he's praying, or he's preaching about a subject, or he's teaching about a subject. So for the last month or so, for the last 2 months, I believe, we have been in this thing about families, the destruction, how the family treat each other. More so, it's always, well, how the children treat the parents, and for me, that was like, um, mind blowing. And it's always the children shouldn't do this and the children shouldn't do that, and the children, the children, the children, the children, the children. And when a person don't know both sides of a situation, they just hear one side of a conversation, and they don't actually know what's going on, and they just hear that one person telling their side of the situation. They tend to go with what that person is saying. So recently, my aunt transitioned yesterday morning. My aunt transitioned, and there were some things that came up, and some things I knew, some things I didn't know. And I was more or less geared towards what my aunt was saying. And it was like, I got to talk to my cousins. I got to talk to my cousin, because I got to talk to this one cousin, because I didn't want her to have any regrets. I didn't want her to feel no type of way um, about her mom transitioning and the state of which their relationship was. I'm not going to go in details because that's really not my story to tell. But anyway, it bothered me so bad until the point that I called my cousin, and we had the most eye-opening conversation. And if I had to take a side, I would take my cousin's side in this, because I know who I know, and I knew how my aunt was, and who she was. We wear so many different faces, because I can remember at my mom's service how these people were getting up saying all that nice stuff about my mom and stuff like that. And in my head, I'm saying, well, who are they talking about? Because I did not see what they were seeing. And that was my mom. We don't know everything about our parents, and our parents don't know, even though our mom birthed us in the world, they don't know everything about us. And me and my daughter, we have this conversation all the time. We have this conversation all the time. I don't want to know everything my daughter do. I know the things that I need to know about my daughter. My daughter know the things that she need to know about me. There's some things that I will take to the grave that I would never tell my daughter that I've done. Never. And there's some things that she will take to the grave that she will never let me know that she's done these things. And is I'm sure her daughter is in her freshman year at college, and I'm just learning some of the things at this age that I am and the age that my daughter is. I'm just learning some of the stuff that she's done. In like in general conversations. She said, "Oh, well, you remember that time, Mama? You went out of town and da 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 da." And I'm saying, "What?" So we don't know everything about our children, and our children don't know everything about me. And it didn't bother me about the prayer, because as a family we need prayer, because the way the world is going now, family is, and I tell my children all the time, and I'm telling family members now, because I don't have a huge gigantic family, and I tell them, my aunt, she wasn't the last. I have one more aunt, and I believe each generation is supposed to teach the next generation, so the next generation could teach the next generation. And I believe that's the way it's supposed to be. My mom and my aunts, I can remember, those were some hardworking women. Those were some strong women. And my mom and my aunt, they were both of my aunts. One aunt had like 7 kids, never on welfare. My aunt had 3 kids, never on welfare. My mom had just me, never on welfare. I saw my mom get up. I would have to go to Big Mama house 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, get dressed to go to school, go to Big Mama house, and then when it's time to go to school, because other kids was at Big Mama house, this old lady named Big Mama used to keep all the children who woke up early in the morning to go to the fields in the morning. And then I watched my mom cook meals when she came home from work, so she could have lunch when she went to the fields. And when she went to the fields and came home around 5 or 6 o'clock, take a bath, get dressed, and go work in the packing house. Never missed a PTA meeting. Never missed a parent meeting. A teacher parent meeting. Because if she had to miss working in the fields, she made sure she went to the packing house that night. And then I watched my mom get her GED. Then I watched my mom travel 20 miles every day to go to work to be a nurse's aide in the hospital. Still never missing a beat, being at every play, being in every PTA meeting, at the teachers' conference, none of that, So I had structure. My cousins, they were the same. All my cousins were the same way. My aunt, who had the 7 kids, worked, got up every morning, went to work. She was married, then her and her husband divorced, and she was left there with them 7 kids. And she took care of them 7 kids without food stamps, without welfare, without the man doing anything happen when he wanted to help. And we were all close. And I don't know what happened in the breakdown of families, but I know my family is not the only one. There's other people whose family is the same. But this morning, it was just because my mom transitioned 3 months ago. My mom and my aunt, they were aunt and niece and best friends. So knowing that it wasn't going to be long before she transitioned as well. And thinking about what has transpired in my life, in my cousin's life, and now listening to the pastor talking about family. the breakdown of families, the dysfunction in families, how families don't love and protect each other the way that they used to. So I got up this morning and me and my daughter was talking about this yesterday, where people always read in the Bible. They always put the word on people. And the word is what it is. There's nothing in the word that has changed. The word is, the word was, and the word will always be what it is. And people, especially older people, are always quoting Ephesians 6 and 4. Um, Now, what is it? Ephesians, what is it? 6 and yeah, Ephesians 6 and what is 6 and 4? Is it 6 and 4? Um, no, Ephesians 6, 1 to what 1 and 2? It says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy mother and honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment, that it may be well with thee and thou may live live long on the earth. Always quoting that. Honor your mom. You're supposed to honor your mom and you're supposed to honor your father. Of course, you're supposed to honor your mother and your father. But there's a scripture that's below that as well. It say, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and abomination of the Lord. I can't say that word. And then Colossians, over in Colossians, what was it, 3 and 21? It says, fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. And in verse 20, it says, children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. And then verse 21 says, fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Okay. You telling the Bible, the Lord, the word is saying, obey your parents. And then it's telling the parents, don't provoke your children into anger. Don't be saying, I never said this to my children. But two of my kids got the same dad. One have a different dad. You gonna be just like your no good daddy. You ain't about it. See, I have heard people just curse every word they said to their children. They were cursing them out, and then when they get older, they don't understand why they children move halfway around the country, or they move right around the corner and don't even want to talk to their mom and daddy. Don't want to talk to them. Don't do nothing for them. When they get sick, don't want to be bothered with them. As a parent, the word tells us that we supposed to nurture our children, and we supposed to chastise our children when they're wrong. We, however, we don't supposed to beat our children down as parents. Just because you a parent, that don't mean you treat your child any kind of way. That don't mean you supposed to talk to your child any and then expect from them expect for them to you gonna respect me, you gonna respect me. And I see some kids now have absolutely don't want to do nothing for their parents, and as parents you can't give children everything just because you have the means, and just because you didn't have as a child, now you want to give your child everything. I'm not going to treat my child if the way my mama treated me. And if that bothers you, no, you don't treat your child the way your parents, your mama or your daddy treated you. You don't curse them out. You don't make them wear hand me downs. You don't talk down to them. You don't be there for them. And then whatever dysfunction that you find in a family, it always stems from the parents. It starts with the parents. The parent sets the tone. And if you really want to go look at it, if you really, really think about it, parents pit children against each other. I used to tell my kids all the time. Got My oldest son grew up with my mom and my dad. So I just had my middle and my youngest. And I would, when one wasn't there, I would say, "Oh, you my favorite. You my favorite, right?" So when they got in a little argument, that's why Mama said I'm her favorite. And then, well, Mama told me I was her favorite. And then when it started clicking, they then it one said, "Well, Mama said I'm her favorite." Well, Mama done told all both of us we her favorite. And I sat my children down and I told them, I love both of you. I can't love you equally because you're not the same. I love you because of this, and I love you because of this. But my love for you is no different. My love is different, but it's the same. The love that I have for both of you. Some kids need more love. Some kids need more understanding. Some kids need more nurturing. Some kids are just so independent. They need you when they need you, and you know when they need you. But you don't love them any less because they're independent. This my strong one here. But that strong one needs to be cuddled and loved and nurtured too. So you love that person differently. That one who was always a crybaby, and every time they got up to walk or move, they always fell down and cried. So you had to be more compassionate with that one. That's not loving the other ones less and loving this one more. You just love them differently. But some parents would always compare the siblings, and then that starts a problem when you start comparing. Well, you need to be like your brother. You need to be more like your sister. And that starts a problem. And the problem start when the breakdown in the family starts. It starts at the top. It don't start with the children. When the children start acting out, there's a reason why your children acted out. And a good parent will sit the child down and ask, "What's the problem? Where's the breakdown? Talk to me. Let me know what's going on." And parents don't understand, just because you're a parent, that don't make you right about everything. Because as a parent, you don't know everything. There really is no instruction book on how to raise your children or how to be a parent. So as a parent, good morning, Mimi. And as a parent, you have to be vigilant towards your children. And my pastor has been talking about family, 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 family. And I'm seeing some dynamics in my family that I said, I just didn't want my cousin with her mom passing. I didn't want her to have any regrets. I didn't want her to feel any type of way because I know there's going to be some days where you're going to be missing your mom, and there's going to be some times you want to just hear her voice. And when I called my cousin yesterday, and my cousin she said, "Maritha," she said, "I've been waiting on this call from you." And I just asked her, I said, "Well, how are you?" She said, "Maritha, the same way you told me about how you felt with your mom." She said, "That's the same way I feel about my mom." She said, "I have no regrets. I am at peace." And she said, "I'm gonna tell you this." She said, "I have not told nobody this." And she said, "I was waiting for you to call so I can tell you." And she told me the story. And when she told me the story, I understood because I know my aunt and I knew my aunt. And people say, well, you got ways just like Auntie, or you got ways just like Geraldine. And sometimes I take that as a compliment for the strongness of who she was, but the judgmental and being rude to people and have an attitude and don't see the good and nothing and nobody, that part, I had to ask God to deliver me from that. So as parents, the Bible tells us not to provoke our children into anger. People, they try to use the word on people all the time. They take scripture and they twist it and try to bend it all the way they want it to be. The word stands for itself. It tells your children, honor your mother and honor your father and thy mother, so you can have longevity in life. My oldest son and I was talking, and we were talking about a situation, and he said, Rita, he said, Grandma said my mom was Muslim. So he said, Grandma would say in the Quran, it would tell you the only way you could get to heaven is at your mother's feet. You honor your mother, you respect your mother, because you don't know how close to death that your mother is when she's having birth, when she's going through birth, even during the pregnancy. You love and respect your mother. And I don't know, I have always been different, and I'm not saying about being disrespectful. I have always been different because nothing was ever just handed to me. So why should I just hand somebody respect because you're older, because you my aunt, because you my mama, because you my dad? Do I just supposed to give you that respect because you're gonna respect me? You're gonna tell me I'm gonna respect you. And respect is something that's earned, it's not something that's given. And as parents, we need to understand that. We need to understand that. My great grandma used to say, you don't raise a child. You don't wait till a child is born to raise them. You raise a child while they're in the womb. The way you behave determines how that child going to act when they come outside the womb. And I tell you, every now and then, some of the things that my grandma said, some of the things that my great grandma said, even some of the things that my mom and my aunt said, it comes back to me every now and then because when you have that child, you're the one who forms that child's opinion. If a child grow up in structure and they grow up, discipline don't hurt. The Bible tells you, spare the rod. If you spare the rod and spoil a child, you get what you got. If you got a disrespectful, disobedient child, that's on you. You can't wait till that child get 10, 15 years old and then try to straighten it out. No. Let your word, let your no be no, and let the word says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. You don't compromise with children. You don't compromise with kids. If you do this, then I do this. If you go to bed, I do this. No, take your ass to bed. And in my family, it's like the boys always got away with everything. Everybody, it seemed like my mom and my aunts, they were more harder on the girls than they were on the boys. And we used to sit around and we used to talk about that all the time. We used to talk about that all the time. How the boys pretty much got away with everything, and the girls, we just caught pure hell, seemed like. And so when we started having children, it was the same way. The boys were catered to, and the girls, it was just like it was so hard on the girls. And then our children start talking about it as well. When we ever got together, why y'all always so hard on the girls? And then I had explained to my daughter why. From my perspective, you got two strikes against you, sweetheart. You black and you're a girl. You black and you're a female. So therefore, the world, if we don't teach you And if we don't be hard on you and you go out there in that world, the world is going to run all over you. So that was our reasoning for that. And my daughter and I, we had a conversation yesterday while she was on her lunch break. She said, Ma, I understand. She said, even though grandma sometime did not tell me she loved me, she said, but now I understood. She didn't say she loved me, but she showed me in many ways that she did love me. And she said, I know that grandma was proud of me becoming a nurse. She said, because when the last time grandma was in the hospital and I came to that hospital and I came to that emergency room and she was just laying there and she was asking, and I was asking her questions, and the doctor didn't be here to know. And she walked out the little room what they had my mom in, and my mom said, "Well, there she go." Everybody know when she come to the hospital, what they didn't answer you, they were going to answer her. And I said, yeah, she was proud in her way, and she would tell everybody else she was proud, but sometimes you need to hear that from them as well. So as parents, we need to check ourselves sometimes because when our children get a certain age, my daughter is an adult. My granddaughter, now 18 years old, she's an adult. And I was telling my granddaughter, she had called me and she said, "Well, now I'm just calling to see how you were doing." And I know when she called because we would text, but everybody she called, she got a day of the week that she called everybody. So when she go out of rotation when she's calling me, I know what it's all about, really. So and we were talking about the situation, and I was telling her, there's no way in the world I would talk to you about my sex life. I would never tell you about what no man done did to me. And I don't want to know about what no man, if you're doing it, I don't want to know about it. Don't tell me. I said, but don't you know that I'm responsible for you and your mom, even though you are an adult? And I tell my daughter, I tell my sons, don't y'all know I'm still responsible for you? Because if I still don't tell you right from wrong, that's on me. That's on me. When you come to me with things and you telling me how you feel about a thing, if I don't sit there and still talk to you as your mom, however, but talk to you as an adult, and I don't tell you the right thing, that's on me. That's going to be a mark on me. Because I'm going to always be your mom. In the grave, I'm still going to be your mom. So I'm still responsible for you. That's why I don't say I'm grown. And when my children, they never told me they was grown. Because when you grown, that means you have grown and there's nothing else that you can learn. So I had to teach them how to rephrase that, use the right terminology. You are an adult. So therefore, you still are growing. So there's things that you still need to learn. And I had to remind my daughter. She was getting on my granddaughter so bad, and I was just in the middle. And I know she was getting on my granddaughter nerve. I know, because she was getting on my nerves. And I just told her one day, I said, you know what? Jordan don't know how to be a teenager. She's learning how to be a teenager. She's learning how to be a young adult. She's learning how to adult. And the things that you have taught her, the things that you have trained her in, she's going to either do it, she's going to either sink or she's going to swim. And my grandbaby's swimming. I said, now you have never been a mother of a young adult. You've never been the mother of a teenager. So there's some things you're going to have to bear with, and there's going to be some growing pains with both of y'all. I said, I've been a mother 3 times of teenagers, young adults, and sometimes when you want to slip and say you grown. So there are some things that I can tell you that'll smooth the way. So now when her and Jordan talk, and she said, well, Mom, I'm just letting her, she's an adult. She's a young adult. So I'm letting her, she's gonna have to find out for herself. There's some things I don't want her. I don't want her to, fall in love and be hurt. I don't want that for her, but she's going to have to learn those. Some things in life we just have to learn. You train your child the way that you will have them to go. So they won't depart from you. They might go astray and might look at you and roll their eyes and suck their teeth and be thinking all kind of things in their head and get what their sister. Let me tell you about your mom. You ain't their mama then, but they telling their sister and their brother, let me tell you about your mama. But at the end of the day, the things that you said, it'll come back to them, and they may never say, Mama, you know what, you was right. You was right. However, I bet you right now, before my daughter make a decision, and she tell me this all the time. She said, Mom, we be at work and we be talking and people be saying something, and then I would say, let me call my mama. Let me call my mama. Because when my mom was living, now I'm gonna ask my mama, or I'm gonna ask my aunt. So you have to train your children. There, even if you had the worst parent in the world, there was some good in that mama. There was some good somewhere in your mom. Even if she was the worst mom in the world, there was some good. You learned something from your mom. You learned how not to be, and you learned how to be. So this was just weighing on me about the destructions of the family and the dysfunction of the family, and how families are not the way that they used to be, because times are not like they used to be. Times are not like they used to be. And we keep saying at everybody, at when my cousin passed away about 4 years ago, and we said, you know what, this family need to come together. It ain't but a handful of us. We need to come together. We're airplane away. We 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes away. We need to come together. Yeah, we do. We're gonna plan some. We're gonna plan some. Then when everybody got on the airplane and went to where they were going, never heard anything. When my mom passed, when my mom was in the hospital, we need to get together. We need to do this. We need to do that. Then after the funeral, everybody went they separate ways. Now it's like I see confusion is brewing, and I told my daughter we gonna stay out of it. Me and man, we gonna stay out of it. We gonna have an opinion about it with each other. We gonna talk about it with each other. You know. And I told her, but I know one thing that's not gonna happen, because I know my cousins, they probably won't come to the funeral. And if they don't come, that's okay. Because they say they're in a good place with it, they're at peace with it, and I understand it. I understand it to the fullest. I understand it. However, I would not allow no one to disrespect them, not because they're not there to defend themselves. I stand for them. I will stand for my cousin, and I know my daughter will stand for her cousin. So I won't allow that. But as parents, we need to check ourselves sometimes. We need to sit down and take inventory within ourselves. We need to have a self examination. How we talk to our children, how we talk to our grandchildren, how we not only how we talk to them, how we treat them. How are we treating our grandchildren? And even though our children are adults, yes, they are our children. They ain't our babies no more. Now I understand why my pastor says, stop calling that child your baby. They ain't no baby. They are adults now. That's gonna always be my baby. No, that's not gonna always be my baby, because if I'm thinking that's my baby, then I'm gonna be thinking that I can talk to my young adult or my adult child like they're a baby. I can't. When me and my daughter have conversations, I tell my daughter, if I need to talk to her as a mother and a daughter, I'm talking to her as a mother. But when I need to talk to her a woman to woman, I'm talking to her as she is another adult. I am respecting her. And when she come to me with things, and sometimes we'll say, well, how you coming? Mom, I'm coming as my mom. I'm coming as your daughter. And then other times she said, I said, well, how you coming? Mom, I need to talk to you. I said, well, how we talking? As mother to daughter, or are we talking woman to woman? And sometimes it's woman to woman and mother to daughter. That's our jobs. That's our children are our responsibilities because they are not doing the things that we would have them to do because they're not doing the things that we want them to do. That don't mean we turn our backs on them. That don't mean we go out and talk about them with other family members. See, and that's the way a lot of problems start at. Because you got two people in the family. Either it's gonna be two sisters or a cousin or somebody gonna be in the family, always running their mouth. That was my mama and my aunt. That was my mama and my aunt. And I used to tell my aunt, Auntie, they said that you and I are just alike, and that I'm the only one that can really talk to you. And I said, Auntie, you know what? You give the best advice in the world because there's nothing that my aunt ever said that was wrong. Nothing, especially when it about work and about men. Nothing. My aunt, when we were preteen and teenagers, my aunt used to always tell us, if you get a man, when you get a man and you meet a man and he can't do for you what you already doing for yourself or a little bit more, you don't need that man. And don't you ever let a man think that you need him. You can want him, but don't never let a man think you need him for whatever you want. Get a job. And if that job can't take care of you the way you want to be taken care of, get you another job. You got to work two jobs, work you two jobs. My aunt always taught, she was teaching us life, even though we would just sit there and go, okay, didn't understand what she was saying at the time. But as I grew up, then I understood. Don't let a man play you. Don't let a man play you. You play the game right along with him. That's the way I was always taught. And my aunt said, when you meet a man and he ain't got nothing and he wearing white socks, he wearing Bobby socks and white shoes, don't you dress that man. Don't you buy him no shoes. Don't you buy him no socks. If he ain't your husband, don't buy him nothing. Let him buy it for himself. So when he walk, won't be walking with what you bought. And that always stuck with me. And see, that is the responsibility of a mother and an older family member. They're responsible for telling us right from wrong and the things to do and the things that not to do. And I told my aunt, I said, Auntie, you get the best advice in the world. You get the best advice in the world. I say, but sometimes your delivery, it is so harsh. It is so hard. Did you say, for real? Like she didn't know. I said, yeah, for real. I said, maybe if you just temper it down a little bit and you be more compassionate a little bit, have more compassion a little bit, the message will be received, more better. Like when we were kids and we had to take castor and then you always give us peppermint behind the castor so it'll go down real easy, something like that. And my aunt said, I'll try it. But then, just like I said, me and my daughter, we talk all the time. And so we were talking. She said, Mom, she said, now I understand why they didn't tough. I understand now why grandma and auntie tough loved us. Cause some of us really needed that tough love. And then with the boys, it was just it's not like boys gonna be boys. It was like the girls was more strong-willed and strong-minded and just more stronger than the boys. So now I get it. And see, that's what you want your children to get it. You want your children to get it. So when they start having children, they can teach their children. So when they say honor your father and your mother, and you do that. You're supposed to honor your mom and your daddy. You're supposed to. And then don't just read that part. Go down a little further and see what else God is talking about. Because God ain't just telling you to just honor your mom and daddy and they disrespecting you and they hurting your feelings and they breaking your heart and they just feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders sometimes. No, when you go further down, it tells you don't stop provoking your children. Don't do your children like that. See, because when you get in your old age, your children ain't gonna they gonna put you. It's in a nursing home and they ain't gonna come to see you about twice a year, 2 or 3 times a year. And then when they call you and tell your mom has passed away, then you get, oh, now I got to take care of this. No, that's not what you want. Discipline your children, love them more than you discipline them. You know what child you got to be a little tough on. You know what child you got to jack up every now and then. Jack them up, but jack them up with love. Let them know I know you could do better. I don't know why you're not. Take care of your children mentally, physically. And we have to watch what we say to our children and our grandchildren. We have to use the right verbiage when we're talking because see, when you start telling children when they're little, you ain't gonna be about nothing, you ain't nothing, and you ain't gonna never be nothing. They get that in their head. And what's the need of me trying to do anything when my mama say I ain't gonna be about nothing? But then you got some children that's so strong willed, I'm gonna be about something. I'm gonna be something. I am going to be. I have children, young young women. I have a young lady live in Fort Lauderdale. She just graduated college. She just got her RN. She passed the FCLAT to get her RN license. And when she got it, she said, Miss Maritha, I was talking to my mom and she said, Ma, I gotta get out the phone because I got to call Miss Maritha. And she said, Miss Maritha, I just had to call you and let you know that I had passed I did like you said, I went on and took that test. She was working at Publix. She was just working there on the weekend and going to school through the week. And she said, and she was going through so many problems. And I said, won't you just quit working at Publix? Oh, Miss Rita, I've been working at Publix for 10 years. And I said, quit that job. Quit. Because when you become a nurse, you can't do both of them. I said, why would you want to do both of them? I said, quit working at Publix. You're just working on the weekend. Be able to study more because she has flunked a couple of classes. And I say, stop working. Your man taking care of you. Stop working so you can study more. You may miss $300 or $400, $500. Stop working. Stop working. Study more. And if you just concentrate on what you need to do, I guarantee you your grades will come up and you'll be able to graduate. She stopped working, concentrated on what she needed to do, passed the test at one try. I got her RN. And she said, Miss Marita, she said, when I was taking that test, all I could think about is the things that you had done told me. And she said, I appreciate you so much. That's our responsibility, whether it's your niece, your nephew, your cousin, your little neighbor, just a child you see in church, one of your children friends, and you see that this child has potential. You supposed to teach children the right way, even when they become adults because they don't know how to adult. They still learning how to adult, even though they got children of their own. They're still learning. So that's what each generation's supposed to do. We supposed to teach the next generation so the next generation could teach the next generation. And that's not being harsh or talking down. And yes, sometimes you do have to do that tough love. But even when you're doing that tough love, leave the door open. Don't leave just a crack. Leave the door open. But you have to be fair and you have to be firm. And you know the child that you got to be firm with. You know which child you have to be firm with. Now, I know my youngest son, What is he? I don't know really much about the signs, but my youngest son is an Aries. Hakeem is an Aries. Jordan is an Aries. They're two different kinds of Aries. Both were born in April. She was born April 2nd. He was born April 9th. Hakeem is quiet. Hakeem is nonchalant about a lot of things. Hakeem would be in a crowd of people and he talked to who he talked to. He friends with who he friends. He don't go, he just like I am. I don't go out of my way to be friends with nobody. I'm not a friendly person. I'm a nice person though. I don't go out of my way to be friends with people. If you want to be my friend, it's cool. But I just don't call everybody friend. I don't call everybody friend. You have to earn my friendship. You have to earn my friendship. I'm nice, but I'm really hard. I'm a hard nut to cry. But when you know me, then you'll be saying, you're not like I thought you was. You're not like what people say you were. And it's hard to get, and people tell me all the time, it's hard to get to know you, but once you get to know you, girl, you so crazy. And a lot of people say, I don't like, I sit next to you at Sunday, I'm going to stop sitting next to you because, girl, you so crazy. And then I would say some things in that, I'm going to use that, I'm going to use that. It was because, and when I was raising my children, I would always tell my kids, I'm not going to believe what people tell me about you. Just because you my child, I'm not taking your word for everything either. And just because an adult come to me and tell me that you done did something, I'm not taking their word simply because they are adults. And nobody could never come in my face and tell me nothing about my child. If anybody ever came in my face, I said, wait, hold up. Let me go and get her. So what you're telling me, you can say it to her. You can say it to me while she's standing here. We'll get that straight now because I don't like disrespectful children. My children don't disrespect me and they're not going to disrespect another grown up. However, another grown up is not going to disrespect my child simply because you're a grown up. But I know with one of my children, I knew how my oldest son, he's so friendly, he's so nice, he's Mr. Friendly. He's Mr. Friendly. My daughter, both of them Leos. Both of them, he August 16th and she August 5th. Different Leos. She's she's a sweet, but she's outspoken, she's strong willed. Now somebody came and said, Hakeem said this. I know you telling a lie because Hakeem, no, that don't even sound like Hakeem. Hakeem used to cry. But if somebody said V said this and V, oh yeah, she did. You about right, she did. She said it. She said it and she did it. Because I know my child. You know your children. You know your children. And I love Hakeem because Hakeem is so quiet. But he says what he has to say and he means what he say. I love that about him. Verena is who she is, and I love that about her. She's funny, she's witty, she's comical, she's strong, she's smart, she is stubborn. No, she's not stubborn. I ain't gonna put that on her. She's not stubborn. She's a girl's girl. But she will tell you what's on her mind. And my oldest, Kevin, he's a nice person. He is very conniving. And so you know your children. You know your children. So you know how to treat them accordingly. You love each one of your children where they are and how they are. It is not up to you to change your child. It's not up to because when they become adults, there's pretty much nothing that you could do but talk to them. But talk to them. But don't provoke your children. And you see, and my kid, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I don't like people telling me what to do. Don't tell me what I should do, ought to do. Don't do that to me. Because anything I need to do, don't you know I need to do it? Anything I should be doing and ain't doing, don't you know I should? Don't you know I should be doing that? Parents, live your life and let your children live their life. Respect them, and they'll give you that respect right back. Children, honor your father, honor your mother. Take care of your mama. Take care of your daddy. Respect your mama. Respect your daddy. Give them that respect. And when they get on your, me and my mama did not have the best relationship. However, at the end, that was still my mama. And every now and then I would pick up the phone. I didn't let a week go by. I didn't let a month go by without picking up the phone and talking to my mama. And when I call, how you doing? Good. We have a nice little conversation. And I said, well, we done talk now. And I called my mama one time. I said, well, I ain't talked to you in a couple of days. A couple of days. I said, yeah, a couple. See, I see where that was going. And then, I was letting her miss talking to me. I said, well, I haven't talked to you in a couple of days. I said, yeah, it's been a couple it's been more than a couple of days. I said, well, we're talking now. How about that? We talking now. Wasn't talking to her in a disrespectful tone, but and after I said that, we just started laughing and we just started talking. And then, I know I know when I said what I had to say to my mom and she just said what she had to say. I said, well, and everybody know when I end the conversation with well, they know it's time to hang up. Me and Anthony and Michelle and Mildred, we be talking sometime, and I say, well, y'all, well, I know what time that is. Talk to you later. I said that to my daughter. Hey, honey. Hi, Sean. Hey, Miss. Hey, Florida. And me and Verena, we were talking, I think Wednesday night. And I said, well, honey, you done made it home. I said, well, since you done made it home and I know you got a lot of studying to do. She said, no, it is something on TV you want to watch and you just want to get in your bed. Bye, mama. I love you and good night. I said, girl, don't do me. Don't do me. See, when you treat your children with respect and you've done the best that you could do by your children, I didn't hide. Verena went through my drug addiction with me. Hakeem didn't know too much about it. My oldest son was with my parents. Um, but one thing I am proud of, and with my daughter, I'm proud of the way my children turned out. And I'm proud when I'm proud in the way that my daughter raised her daughter. And I'm so proud that I got myself straightened out with the help of God, that when my daughter wanted to go out in the world and kind of sow her wild oats before she settled down, I was able to raise my granddaughter. And the things that I couldn't do for my daughter, I could do with and for my granddaughter. And when I tell my daughter, and sometimes we have to show our appreciation to our children, and we have to let our children know I appreciate um, I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you. And I tell my daughter that, and I tell my sons that, and I tell my daughter more so because I am so proud of the young lady that she has become. And I'm proud of the woman that she is. I love the way she raised her daughter. I love the way she take care of her daughter. I love the conversations that she have with her daughter. Even though her child is in college and she is an adult, she said, "Ma, I'm gonna do for her what you did for me and what you couldn't do for me." And I tell her, I am so proud of the woman that you are, and I'm so proud of the mother that you are. And when I hear her say, "Ma, everything that the way I'm treating Jordan is the way you treated me. And everything that I'm doing for Jordan, you did." She said, "We was never hungry. We was always dressed." She said, "I know if you was not in your addiction, what I'm doing for Jordan, it would just be a drop in the bucket." And when she say that, that makes me feel good because she tells her daughter, "I'm going to take care of you till you graduate college. I'm going to help you until you graduate college." That's what parents supposed to do. When children turn 18 years old, they don't know what the hell they doing out there. They in the house and then you just putting them out there. That's why when Verena left to go to college, and I raised my kids for adulthood, because I ain't gonna be here always. And don't be depending on me for everything. Don't depend on me for everything. And now I tell them I ain't liable. I'm not responsible. I'm not liable. I'm not liable. I'll be your soft cushion as long as I can be your soft cushion. I'm always here for you, baby. I ain't got nothing but advice and a good meal. And you can stay here 1 or 2 nights till you get yourself together. But other than that, get yourself together, take you a shower, drink your water, and moisturize and get the hell up out of here. That's how I talk to my kids. That's how I talk to mine. Because if you don't train and raise your children the way that you know you should and supposed to, the world is going to devour them. And now that my granddaughter is in college, I was so scared for her to go to college. Especially I would have preferred for her to go to the college that's here, that's closer to here. But she said, nope. She said, I go to Bethune Cookman before I go to a college here. And then I said, okay, I feel better. She was in Tallahassee. But she's where she's supposed to be. She's in Atlanta. And it's like she's running Atlanta. She's doing what she's doing at Clark University in Atlanta. And I would have never thought that she could handle herself the way she's handling herself. That's the home training. That's the structure. So we supposed to teach them. We supposed to love them. We're supposed to respect them. We're supposed to discipline them. We're supposed to teach them. I didn't have to discipline my children too much. And I did curse mine every now and then because I got so sick of looking at how my daughter used to keep her room so junky and didn't want to close the door. I said, leave that door open. So when your friends come, they can see how junky you keep your room. And then her friends come over. I say, see your friends over, and how you take your friends in that junky room? And then they're like, oh, Miss Marisa, that's all right, because mine looked like that too. Then you know what? I stopped bothering her about her room being junky. If you like it like that, baby, I love it. But I bet guarantee you one thing: on the weekend, she got up and washed her own clothes, got her room clean. You lead by example. I had a man, but my children didn't know it. My children never seen a man come in and out of their house. They never seen a man come in and out of my room. If I didn't do it before they went to school, if I didn't do it while they was in school, I didn't do it at all. Respect your children will respect you, and your grandkids will love you to death. And my daughter tell me right now, she told me yesterday, she said, Mama, children love you. I don't know why children love you. Because you so mean and hateful to kids, but they love you. And they do. Even the ones that I can't stand. They love me. Because I don't play the radio with them. They little people. Parents got to understand your children have feelings too. And that's what I told my cousin. And I told my daughter, I said, we were talking about it. And I said, cousin, feelings matter. Her feelings are valid. They are her feelings. And I can never take that away from her about the way she feels. As parents, we got to recognize our children are adults. They're still our children. However, they are adults, and we still got to nurture them. We still got to love them more so than ever now, because they got their own children and they're going through things. And every now and then they want to come and lay their head in our lap, and we have to rub them and hug them and rub on their back and let them know, baby, it's going to be all right. Not tell them what to do, but just tell them how to do what it is that they need to do in a loving, not condescending type of way. And that was just on me because everything that I was hearing when I did go to to the prayer meeting about families, it's always the children doing this to the parents, the children, the children, the children. But what about the parents? What are the parents doing to the children? Sometimes I know it's hard being a single parent. No, it's not. It's not hard being a single parent. It's not easy either. However, that's the choice you made to become a single parent. Because you know that ninja had 5 children before you had that one. And then you lay up with that ninja to give you 3, 4, 5 babies, and he ain't did right by you with the first one you got. And then some women think it's so romantic to hear, let's go half on a baby. What half you gonna have? No. Mm-mm. 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 And that could make some women so bitter. The child come out looking like the daddy, then they want to mistreat the child. The child didn't ask her to come here. You let that ninja fill your head up with a lot of nonsense. And then 2 or 3 months after you done had the baby, he ain't no way in sight. You got to run him down or threaten him to go to the people for him to buy pampers, to buy shoes. Mm-mm. Nope. See, when you talk to you, I was wide open with mine. I was wide open with mine. You get a baby, we say all that stuff. I ain't happy to take care of it. When mine was in college when she got pregnant. And we even talked about this. And she said, I said, because she was saying about somebody in the family didn't need to have no babies. And she said, I remember when I got pregnant and you told me, I don't know how we gonna do it. All I know is we gonna do it. And she said, Ma, I really don't know how we did it. She said, because I worked at night, you worked in the daytime. And by her working at night, I found a daycare. So she didn't have to go to work sleeping from her baby being up all day. I found a daycare to put that baby in. So while she was home, sleep during the day when my son got out of school, if he wanted to go pick up the baby, and normally he would go and pick up Jordan, or he'll let her stay there to about 5 o'clock, and I walk to the daycare, then I go pick her up. We work cohesively. We worked as a family unit. And that's what families have gotten away from, working together, because all the dysfunction starts in the house with the mom, with the dad. And if it's not a mom there, with the dad. If it's not a dad there, it's with the mom. I didn't tell my daughter she had to go get a job at 14. She wanted to get a job. I told her, look, I'm not required to give you nothing but food, clothing, and shelter. And the only time I get your hair and none, that was an incentive. Your grade performance, how you performed in school. That's what got your nails and hair done. But if you want to get it done, if you want to have your pay to get your own nails and hair done, go and get your job. I didn't stop her, but I let her know. If them grades get below a B plus, baby, you got to stop. And I let her employee at McDonald's know, if every time she get a report card and she show you a report card and it's not where I want it to be, she will no longer be working at McDonald's. But I bet you that grade point average stayed up, just like with Miss Thing up there in Atlanta. She don't want to come back home because her mama told her, if you get anything that don't look right on you, if your GPA gets below a 2 points, if your GPA gets below a 2.0, you got to come back home and you're going to have to go to one of the colleges here. Because if you can't do it there, you surely can't do it. And you know what? Jordan made the dean's list last semester. She had she did dual enrollment while she was here. Had college courses while she was a senior in high school. They accepted her college credits at Clark. She started out as a freshman. When she went back as a sophomore. Her GPA was 3.85. You train your children. And if you got your grandchildren, you train them in the way that they should go. And my only concern for Jordan was, find you a church. Find you a church. And she found a church. She found a church that I happen to like. 1825. Love the pastor of that church. Love, because he don't speak nothing but the truth. Don't speak nothing but the truth. So parents, grandparents, train your child. Train your child. They won't depart from that train. They may depart, but I bet you it always will come back to them. It always, and they're gonna come back. They're gonna come back. Treat them with respect. Treat them with kindness. Treat them with love. Treat them with compassion. Meet them where they are. Meet them where they are, and they will always have you in their life. They will always have you in their life. Tell them right from wrong. Don't tell them what to do. Just tell them, you know you ain't doing right. And don't you know they already know they ain't doing right? And when they already, and I told my aunt, when you give us advice, you give the best advice. Don't you know what you're telling those two young ladies? Don't you know they already know that about themselves? There's a way that you can talk to people that don't hurt their feelings. And I was talking to my little cousin, and he said, you know what, cousin? If people didn't, he said, when grandma talked to us the way she talked to us, we knew where it was coming from. It was coming from a place of love. And sometimes you could take it, and sometimes you couldn't take it. And it's not that they didn't care, it's just they wanted better, and they knew that you could do better than what you're doing. And when you let your kids or your grandkids know, I know you know better, and I know you could do better than what you're doing. And that's why you see a lot of kids like to go to grandma's house. Well, and my granddaughter, and I'm going to end this, and my granddaughter say, my daughter called me and she said, Mom, she said, I don't know how to feel about this. I said, well, what happened? She said, me and Jordan was talking. And I said, Jordan, if something happened up in Atlanta, and who would be the first person you call? She said, I called Nana first. And then I talked to Godmama Sent. And then I talked to you last. She said, you be the last person that I call. And she said, she asked Jordan, she said, why? Why would I be the last? Because, Mama, you always trying to fix things. You always, you just like you like take charge and just fix things. With now, what Godmama said, you know how Godmama said is, she just gonna talk about God, and she gonna be relaxed when she talk about it. But when Nana talk, Nana gonna tell me straight up. And she ain't gonna try to fix it. She gonna let me fix it. She gonna try to let me handle it. And if I can't handle it, she gonna tell me, you need to talk to your mama. And that made me feel good that I was her first choice that she would call. And when she called and she go, Nana, I know, just be quiet and listen. And after I'm quiet and listen at what she's saying, then, then I have a response. Then I have a response. And just tell her, honey, it is not about you adult now. Your mama can't talk to you like that. Now that's your mama. You tell your mama, you speak to your mother with respect. However, you let your mom know how you feel. And if you don't need to talk to her for a couple of days, and just let her know, look, Ma, I I can't talk to you right now. And I had to let my daughter know, this girl in college, she ain't got time to be whenever you feel like you want to call and talk, and she got classes, she got things to do, she got places to be. But Jordan, look, that's your mom. I say, everybody who's telling you, and everybody talking about, if I need something, they'll do this, and they ain't did nothing. I said, how do they know you need it? Did you call them and tell them? And don't call people just when you need something. I said, you got to pick a day out of the week to call. Give everybody a day. Give 2 people this day, 2 people that day. Call them people. And then when you need something, when you call them, they'll ask you, Jordan, what do you need anything? They're more open to give to you then. And then when you're talking to them, you could call them and say, well, I need this and I need that. And people be more receptive to you. See, that's what grandparents and parents supposed to do. We supposed to show our children the way. We teach one so they could teach the next. So if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and you see the dysfunction in their family, and you can be that person to kind of shed the light to give them some guidance on that, do so. And remember, as parents, we can't raise our children or our grandchildren. We could take some of those values and we could take some of those things. We living in a different time and in a different world. The world is the same, but the time is different. And meet your children, even though they are an adult. And it never should be hard for a parent to ask their child for forgiveness, because I've asked my kids to forgive me for when I was out there drugging. Forgive me for that. And if I ever neglected you, please forgive me for that. I can't make up for that. I can't go back and change that. However, I can do the best that I can where I am. I can make it right. If I didn't make it, do it for you. I can do it for my grandkids. And my grandkids love me because they know when they come over here, I'm going to feed them. I'm going to let them do what they want to do to a certain extent. To a certain extent. And I don't have to worry about be put in a corner and be left at the restaurant and people talk about, wait, Nana, you ain't getting Nana? Well, I thought you got Nana. They're gonna run and everybody gonna want to do something for you. No, I'm gonna do it. No, I'm gonna do it. It's the way you treat your children. So it's not always the children doing something to the parents. The parent had to do something to the child to make the child want to do something to the parent. And stop giving them everything. Let them go out there and work. It didn't hurt you. It is, gosh darn it, sure ain't gonna hurt them. So, that was on my mind this morning. And I was saying, oh man. And I'm just so tired of hearing how the children treat their parents. How the children treat their parents. But how do the parents treat their children? How do the parents treat their children? That's one thing. And then, sometimes when you have a disrespectful, disobedient child, you have to stand your ground. You have to stand your ground. You be there for them as much as you possibly want to be, and as much as they will let you be. But never, ever turn your back on your child. Because at the end of the day, that's all y'all got is each other. Even though they got a husband and a family of their own, all y'all got. Y'all got. So this is from me to you. Today is Friday. Friday. It's the weekend, baby. It's the weekend somewhere right now. The weekend has started somewhere. Your weekend may start at 5 o'clock. Have a happy weekend. And I'm still thinking, still debating. Do I want to come back and try to do this every day? Every morning. I got a little lady that I sit with every day. And I just might let y'all meet Miss Sandy. She funny. She funny. But you know what? I can tell that she raised her daughter. And when I hear her daughter talk about my mom was a single mother and she raised me and my brothers. Because she's not in a nursing home. She's at her daughter's house. She's at her daughter's house. So y'all have the best weekend ever. Be safe. I don't know what this weekend is. Lent has started. Yeah, Ash Wednesday was the 18th was Ash Wednesday. So yeah. So y'all pray for me. We're gonna pray for each other. We're gonna get this thing right. We're going to break generational curses. So in the meantime, in between time, whenever you see me in the YouTube streets, holla at me. Holla, bye. Holla, peace, deuces, and I'm up out of here.